Morning Sprint, brought to you by Stop and Go.
Welcome back at 6:51. Time for the Morning Sprint as our team gives you the most local news every morning.
We start this morning in Madison, where the executive director of Madison School and Community Recreation is on leave this morning after being arrested. 44-year-old Jacob Tishy was booked into the Dane County Jail last night and is facing multiple charges for possessing child pornography. A spokesperson for the Madison Metropolitan School District said they put Tishy on leave as soon as they learned about the arrest. Tishy will remain on leave until the outcome of that process.
The McFarland teacher arrested earlier this week won't be allowed back into the village for at least 4 weeks. Andrew Meeks hasn't been formally charged, but a judge did order him to be under GPS monitoring to ensure he doesn't return to McFarland. Meeks was arrested Tuesday on tentative charges of child enticement and causing mental harm to a child. He'll be back in court September 26th.
A Lake Delton man is facing multiple charges this morning, including abducting a child. Lake Delton police arrested 22-year-old James Sellers yesterday following months of investigations. Sellers allegedly broke into a home in his neighborhood and took a 2-year-old from her bedroom. Police say Sellers left the child outside of the home and took off, and that motive is still unclear.
There will be a visitation today for the Fitchburg teenager killed earlier this week. The visitation for Shay Watson will be from 4 until 7 this evening at Gunderson Fitchburg Funeral and Cremation Care. Another visitation will be held tomorrow before a celebration of life ceremony at 2:30 at the same location. Watson was shot to death in his home on Sunday night. Police have not arrested any suspects and aren't sharing any information.
We've had just a few high-level clouds across southern Wisconsin this morning. You can see those on Weather Track. No rain falling from any of those clouds, though. Our forecast is dry today. Temperatures will climb from the 50s to highs in the mid-70s this afternoon. Just a light northerly wind expected.
Thank you, Hattie. A year after historic flooding in Sauk County, a new bill will try to make it easier to apply for disaster relief. It would require all cities to sign up for a program that helps train them to get money from FEMA. The bill has bipartisan support.
Hurricane Dorian is expected to make landfall in the U.S. on Monday as a powerful Category 4 hurricane. Forecasters say Dorian's winds could top 100 miles an hour when it comes ashore, anywhere from South Georgia to the South Florida. Now, President Trump canceled his weekend trip to Poland ahead of Dorian's arrival.
A report from the Justice Department Inspector General says former FBI Director James Comey violated FBI policies by sharing memos detailing his private conversations with President Donald Trump. Comey was investigated for the memos he wrote about his interactions with the president after the 2016 election. The Justice Department says it will not prosecute Comey.
You can now sign up for free overdose and Narcan training. Public Health Madison and Sunshine Place are teaming up to offer this free training as a way to fight the drug epidemic. Officials say the number of overdose deaths can be drastically reduced if more people were familiar with how to spot an overdose. Information on how to sign up for free public training can be found on channel3000.com.
State health officials say THC vaping products were involved in most cases where people developed severe lung diseases after vaping. Of the 27 people DHS interviewed, nearly 90% reported they had used vaping devices to inhale THC before they got sick. But health officials say they're still investigating all possible causes.
When your student heads back to school at UW-Madison, they might notice some changes to campus bathrooms. UW is implementing a new policy creating more gender-inclusive restrooms. This new gender-inclusive restroom policy requires a minimum number of these bathrooms to be provided in UW buildings, at least one on the first floor, and if possible, one on every floor.
The Badgers will kick off their 2019 football season tonight in Tampa at 6 o'clock, and then next Saturday they'll be out here at Camp Randall for their first home game of the season. And it's set to be a very exciting year for the Badgers. After a disappointing 8-5 finish last season, the Badgers are ranked 19th in the AP's top 25 poll heading into this season. You can watch tonight's game at 6 o'clock on ESPN, and then 1 week from tomorrow, the Badgers will be here at Camp Randall against Central Michigan for their first home game.
Thank you, Christina. The Packers preseason is over. In last night's final preseason game, Packers linebacker Ty Summers stood out with an interception, taking it 74 yards for the touchdown. Mason Crosby missed the extra point. Final score from last night's game, Packers 27, Chiefs 20. Now we are less than a week away. The Packers go to Chicago to play the Bears in the regular season opener at Soldier Field next Thursday.
Meanwhile, the Brewers are heading into an important weekend series against the Chicago Cubs as they try to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. 5. The Cubs are now 4 games ahead of the Brewers for the final wild card spot. But the Brewers have a chance to make up some ground over the next week with 7 of their next 9 games coming against the Cubs. First pitch at Wrigley is at 1:20 this afternoon.
And it is 6:56. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Still nothing to slow you down on the Beltline. Things are moving well so far with no major issues. Starting to see a few brake lights on the inbound side of John Nolan near Rimrock, and then again at Olin Avenue, making your way into the downtown Madison area. Corona Road tapping the brakes northbound between Highway PD and the Beltline. And other main routes heading into Madison, they're cruising along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh. And Hattie, looks pretty gorgeous out there.
It is a nice start to the holiday weekend. If you're getting an early start today, the weather looks perfect. We have a few clouds moving through the area this morning. Lots of sunshine, though, expected today. Temperatures will climb from the 50s this morning back to highs in the mid-70s with light winds and low humidity. A warming trend is expected through the holiday weekend.
All right, thanks, Hattie, and thanks for joining us. Make it a great weekend, everyone, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday morning. Stay safe.